All right, so I'm going to show you the basic programming for the HMC-4. I've got the unit plugged in here, and we can see I have powered it up, and we're just on the main menu here. So first thing we'll do is go into the menu, and we'll go to configuration. Here we can see how all the different options for configuring the control. We've got our temperature units, option if we want a room probe, the clock type, and the frequency. I'm just going to leave those all as the defaults. Date and time, we can configure that. Looks like it's pretty much correct for now, so I'll just leave that. And then we've got groups. So here we can set up our groups. So here, group 1, name. We can rename it if we want to. I will just leave it as the default. We can set our input. So generally speaking, I'm just always going to do group 1 with temperature probe number 1. That's how I would wire it up, just to keep it simple. So that's the way I will show it here. And we need to select our control mode. So I will say growth curve. The probe type, you can adjust it, but 1K is the default. So there we go. We got group 1 is growth curve. I can also select group 2. We can say that's a set point using temp 2. And there we go. We've created 2 different groups, one following a growth curve and one with the set point. Then if we go back, we can go to our outputs. So VAC1, I'm going to throw that into group 1. And then I'm also going to throw VAC2 into the group 1 as well. Head back, and then let's toss the remaining 2 into our group 2. All right. And obviously, if you wanted, you can throw in VDCs as well. I'm just going to leave those out just to keep things simple. Alarm silencing. I'll just leave that at the default 15 minutes. Then let's hop into settings. So here we've got a few different settings. So first we have an alarm because I don't have equipment all connected to this one. So I'm just going to silence the alarm so that it doesn't bother us. So group set points. Here we can see we've got the set point for group number 2 that we can adjust. The others are all grayed out. That's because groups 3 and groups 4 are not created, and group 1 is using a growth curve. Oop, let me just focus the camera again. So here, I can adjust group 2 if I want to, save it, and then growth curves. Before I do that, I'll just show this default type, summer and winter. Right now I've got winter selected because we are heading into winter, but that is to select the default growth curve that will be in here when we go into this growth curve button. If you wanted the summer growth curve, you would need to go to summer, you would need to save, and then you'd need to go into the menu, go into administration, and you'd need to restore the defaults. And then you would have the summer growth curve as the default growth curve. Just changing this selection here won't change it. You need to then restore defaults. So for now, the default is winter. It is going to be winter, so I'm going to show that. So we hop into our growth curves. Here we've got our default winter growth curve. You can see we've got our temperatures here. We've got the step start day. We've got our restart day. We can select, well, we only have the one group, so that's not actually going to do anything, but I'm going to adjust the current day so that I can show you what restarting the curve looks like. So I'll leave the growth curve on the default, but set it like it is day 10 of the growth curve. Going back in here, we got alarms. We can set the different alarms here. So those are all on by default. And then finally, we've got settings groups. If you want to save your different settings groups, you can do that here. So if you want a settings group for when your barn is empty, or when you're washing it out, or any circumstances like that, you can save those in this screen. That is the settings. Once you've set up your control, you'll probably want to go into the manual override and just verify that your equipment is wired correctly and working as you expect it to. So we can go into this manual override menu and we can just manually adjust the output however we want for the different controls. And you'll notice here we've got this little hand, and that is telling us that, oh, come on, sorry, just want my camera to focus here. There we go. That tells us that it has been manually overridden. So you can either auto the one that you have selected, or if you want to auto them all, hit this auto all button and all your outputs will be manually overridden or returned to automatic from being manually overridden. And please note, if you've got something overridden and you go out of this menu to say the home menu or anywhere else, if I would go back into it, you can see it is still manually overridden. So you need to make sure once you're done doing your manual overrides that you hit this auto all button to return everything back to automatic. It won't do it itself. You need to do that yourself. Anything else in the menu? There's not too much. If you want to configure the screen lock, you can do that from the menu here. It talks about that in the user manual. Administration just has a bunch of administration things on there as well. It talks about more about that in the manual as well if you're interested. So here, I will just go through this main screen a little bit now that we've got our control actually set up. So here we can see we've got our different VACs, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 and 4, they don't have a button there that says reset curve because they're in a group that is not running off of a growth curve. So that makes sense. I'll just pause this so that it doesn't move on me. So here I can go into this widget, and here I can just quickly manually override it if I want to, or switch it to automatic. I've got a quick shortcut to the settings. And then I've also got some information here as far as daily highs and lows and all of that. Then the final thing is, if you want to reset the curve, we've got the shortcut here right on the main menu. Oops, I moved over. So on VAC2, we say reset curve. It says, do I want to reset the curve of group number 1? Yes, I do. And now we can see growth curve day 1. VAC1 is in that same group 1, so it also has a growth curve day of 1 now. So that is the basic configuration and settings and setup for the HMC-4.